Hello and welcome. Today, we are very excited to have our guest speaker with us. We have Dr. Amreen Karawala from India, Baroda, who has recently posted her scores on some social media platform, and we are so excited that she could be with us today. Welcome, Amreen.
Thank you, Dr. Kashyap, for having me here. I'm glad to share my experience today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we want to know, tell us about you first. Where are you from, which medical school? Please go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers.
So I'm Amrin Kharawala. I have done my medical schooling from Medical College Baroda, that's in Gujarat in India. And currently I'm pursuing USMLE and hoping to match this year, fingers crossed.
Absolutely. And good luck to you given this 2019, 2020 COVID-19 era.
Thank you
So
so
to
much.
start with, we want to know if you don't mind sharing with us, how did your USMLE experience went along at this point? What do you want to share with us in terms of your scores, your preparations, or what tips you can share for our viewers who are in the same journey as you?
So first things first, for everybody who asks this question that, is it too late to start USMLE? Let me tell you that I had no plan of doing USMLE earlier in my medical school years. I basically started on my USMLE journey in March 2018. That's just 2.5 years from now. So that was during my internship, and it is never too late to start. So if you want to do something, go for it. It's never too late. And despite that, I have done decently well on my scores, like STEP scores. And I also have USCE, that's US clinical experience. So if I can do it, so can you. So that's pretty much that. So talking about step one, um, so take your time. I understand that since even I did it with my internship, it was very difficult. You have to work so much over here and then you have to study simultaneously. So it takes a lot, but prepare a timeline. Now, the most important thing is to have a timeline. Know when you're graduating, know the number of months you need to study so that you have that tentative timeline and you're not rushing through things and not uncertain. So, what I did was when I started, I knew that I'll be taking a couple of months, say 12 months or so, for my step one prep because I was doing it along with internship and it was hectic because I had night duties and everything. So I divided everything. I started with videos. I started solving questions right at the beginning. I never left it till the end. I started solving questions and started with the first aid, of course. And then later in the last phase of my prep, I started taking assessments pretty early. And let me tell you one thing that the first ever assessment that I took, I failed in that. That was around 6 to 8 months before my final exam. I think 8 months, but I failed in that. And from there, I literally went up to 240 in my next assessment. In the 240s, I was stuck in 240s for a very long time, but my target was 250 plus. So I did not give up. I made sure that I studied harder. And since I also wanted to do electives as well, so I had a set goal that I could not take my step one after that particular date. And so I made sure that I was prepared, just put in a lot of efforts. What I did to boost my score was solve more questions. So somewhere on Facebook, I read that the more number of questions that you solve, your score improves. So I did multiple question banks, and that definitely helped because I finally crossed 250 in the final deal. So even if you start at a very low score, you can still work your way through it. Uh, all that matters is your dedication. Once I was done with that, I went for electives. So it's very important in USMLE to have hands-on clinical experience. If that's not possible, go for observerships, but try to get some clinical experience in the US because their system works very differently. And as students also, you would like to know how the system works if you're fit for that system, if you want to be a part of that system. So I think any sort of experience in the US is a must for your personal growth and also for residency point of view because program directors and the universities and programs, they also prefer students who have worked in the US, maybe as an externship or an observership or elective. or a research experience, anything, but have an experience. So I had my timeline set. I applied and luckily I got in to quite a few good universities because I already had my step one score. So the entire planning was that I apply with my step one score that helps my application to get an elective because obviously that boosts it. Now for the people in the coming years, I understand step one is going to become pass and fail. But irrespective of that, it sets your base. So always have your base very strong because that will help you in CK, it will help you in step three, it will help you in your life. So always don't take it as studying, take it as something because you're becoming a doctor. So have your base set very strong. And once I did my electives, I also took my CS along with it. Again, I understand in the entire COVID era that's difficult to do. But in that case, you also have tele rotations available right now. I know friends of mine who have not yet done them, but have applied for them. And I'm pretty sure at least some experience or intake into the system, whether it's hands on or whether it's tele rotation, is going to help. So sign up for that. And yes, once I was done with that, I took my CS because since I was in US, I might have rather take CS at that same time. I came back, I studied for CK. While studying for CK, obviously I had graduated, so I started doing something on the side. I started online consulting because I didn't want to lose touch to the with the clinical aspect of medicine. So I did that, and also I was working on research projects throughout. That doesn't take a lot of time. You just need to know how to do it and need to find the right people and the right projects to do it. And I think Dr. Kashyap would be a better person to talk about it. But yes, simultaneously keep on doing other things. You do not just want to be a bookworm and sit in front of the book or the computer and read the whole day. So
So,
that's how I, yes.
no, sorry to
Uh,
interrupt, but this is very fascinating. Congratulations. You mentioned about QBank preparation that was really helpful for you when you were taking your STEP exams. Tell us what else worked out for you when you were preparing for the exams or the day of exam when you're taking it, or at least the preparation for that particular day. Any tidbits or points for our viewers, Dr. Amreen?
so I'm a night owl. So the first thing I did was 2 months before my exam, I tried to change my schedule. I started waking up early. That definitely helped me. Another thing I did was in the week preceding the exam, instead of studying more, I studied less. I relaxed a lot. And the day of exam, so I practiced sleeping early. I slept by 9 o'clock so that I could wake up at 6 the next morning. I did all of those things. And I think that helped me stay very calm during the exam. Obviously, you get a little jittery, but then that's okay. It's one of the most important exams of your life. But that's how I prepare for the exam day. However, having said that, I also know a lot of my friends panicked and they could not sleep till 12 o'clock. They went in with 5 or 6 hours of sleep. But the exam day is such that those 8 or 9 hours, you are so focused, you have such an adrenaline rush that you will do it no matter what. So that is something you have to keep in mind. You've come this far, you have done your MBBS, you've done so many things in life. So I think 8 hours or 9 hours is not a big deal. Another thing which is very important that I did was simulating the exam. So whenever I did gave my mocks, what I did was I would take an NBME that has it's a 5 hour test. I would add 3 blocks of UWorld. I would simulate it. I would eat the exact food that I was going to eat at the exam day. I would simulate the breaks and calculate the break time, switch off my phone and everything. So basically, I did that 3 or 4 times before taking both these steps. And I think that made me very calm because I knew I could do it at that day.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. I think it's very important, not just studying, but preparing yourself for the sleep pattern as well as what food you're going to be eating. That comes really handy at this time. So our understanding is you got a really good score, even though you started late in the game. You're done with all three, got your ECFMG certification. Congratulations, which you just found out right before this interview. So kudos to you as well. And you did talk about a little bit on US clinical experience during your medical school. That is the best thing you can do. And we have recorded a video on that process, that, what is the best you can do apart your exams, USMLE score. So you're following, you're taking those marks really well. How USMLE, United States clinical experience, hands-on helped you so far understanding the system, and why you emphasize that it is good for everybody. If you are looking to do a USMLE, they should be taking that experience as early as possible.
Yes. So what I felt was when you go there, first of all, you learn to work with Epic, which is something that, especially in my country, we don't have a computerized system. And I got very familiar with that. Their way of writing patient notes is pretty different. Their way of presenting cases is different. So when you join in on the rounds every day for 30 days, say 20 days because you have the weekends off, um, you get a very wholesome idea of how medicine is practiced over there. Second, the fellows, the residents, they're all very nice. So you get to make contacts, they help you, they share their ideas, they share their experience, and they even guide you. Like one of the clinical experience that I had, my fellow helped me write up a case report, and he has been guiding me ever since. I'm still in touch with him. So those things really help. There are so many people I have met during my experience that I'm in touch with even today. I send them emails about what I'm doing right now, what I plan to do, asking their advice, and they respond because you've built that relation with them, and it's always good to have those insights. Apart from that, I think it's a very wholesome experience. So when you go to different universities in different states, you realize how the patient population is, what kind of patient population you want to serve, what kind of fellowship. It might also give you an idea about the fellowship. Say you rotate in different subspecialties. So you know, I like this more or I like this less. So I think that is helpful as well.
Absolutely. Earlier discussion, you talked about what kept you grounded, or what gives you a solace when you were preparing exam, because it could be tough at times. The score is not coming well, you are behind in your syllabus, or other things are happening during internship. So what was your de-stressor? What was your solace where you find a refuge during the exam, or somebody else? Any tidbits there for our viewers today?
Yes. So this is the most important part that Dr. Kashyap has stressed on, because this is a tough journey. And what I used to do is I would write poems. I love writing poems ever since I was a child. I've been writing poetry. So whenever I feel down, whenever I have a lot of emotions inside me, that's how I remove it. I also call up my friends and family, go out for long drives. Those car drives really refresh me. So I would advise every one of you to have a hobby, to have some go to. Either it's sports, either it is watching TV series, reading a novel, writing something. Have a diary and just write down things. And since I said this, it reminds me of the fact that I've kept a diary now, and the diary has three best things about the day. So every single day I have to sit and write the three happy moments I had in that day. And I started writing that diary in 2020. So despite how this year has been for a lot of people and for us as well, I still manage to find three happy moments every day, and that keeps me going.
Fantastic. Well, I'm definitely going to ask you if you have a poem which you can share with us. But can you, before you do that, and hope you're willing to do that. Before you do
Sure.
that, can you please summarize your 3 points we have discussed today?
So three key takeaways from today's talk. First, do not compromise on your step scores. If you aim at one score, do whatever it takes to get it. Second, try getting US clinical experience, be it electives, observerships, externships, research, whatever it is. Doesn't matter, just try getting them. And third, try staying sane through this all. Have some hobby, cook meals, go out, spend time with friends, and just stay grounded and enjoy the process, because it's a beautiful process. And at the end of the day, when you look back, you feel, I was so strong, I did it, I made it till here, and that is going to make you feel really proud. So don't ever forget to do that.
Thank you so much. If you don't mind, do you want to share your poem with us, at least bits of it?
Definitely, I'm going to read it out to you. It goes, it is the voice. When? I shouted. When will it stop hurting? Everything will be okay. Just focus. Stop lurking. Focus? Focus. That's all I've been doing since years now. When will I get the happiness that and bliss that was promised anyhow? Day and night, I work and pray. I never give up because there is no other way. Hasn't it already rewarded you with flying colors? Asked the voice. With those little gestures that help you rejoice. Remember the day your patient prayed for your success, or when another praised your efforts devoted to his wellness. What about the time your colleagues discussed your achievements? Or when your parents cried tears of joy when you cured their ailments? Your dedication and perseverance is your elixir. Your never say die attitude is what will take you further. And yet, when you find it hard to read, remember, you are doing this to help others breathe. Never forget your patients are the most important thing. You're doing it for them. Do it right.
Fantastic. Very powerful. Very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. At this point, we want to thank you for being with us, sharing your experience, bringing out those three summary points, as well as sharing your poetry as well. Would you like to tell our viewers your social media profile so they can follow you, or tweet you, or LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter? Do you have any of handles available to you right now?
So I think LinkedIn would be the best way to reach out to me. My LinkedIn ID is Amrin Kharawala. So feel free to reach out. I understand it's very difficult to find people to help you, and a lot of people are in need of help. So I'm always here for that.
Thank you, Dr. Amrin Kharawala. We really appreciate you being with us. Folks, please do like and write a comment in section what you liked. Do subscribe to the channel so we can have other celebrity exam takers with us coming online, and probably have Dr. Amrin Kharawala come back to us in next several months when she is done with the step 3 exam, or when she has matched. So that will be the one point we'd like to bring her back as well. Thank you for watching, and we would like to please subscribe and like and comment section as well. Thank you. Bye.